fog is kind of thick.
It is.
First alert meteorologist Erika Paige joining me. Erika, can we get back to that, or?
We're going to try a little bit once we get to the end of the week, but unfortunately, I think scenes like what we have out there right now, which are a little bit more dreary for us, are going to be a bit more common as we approach the weekend. Not to say that we won't see some more pleasant conditions working in by Friday. It's just we are likely going to be dealing with more rounds of moisture in the form of rain trying to work back in just in time for the weekend. So yes, today it is foggy, it's damp, we're going to have rain around the area, and certainly you notice some cooler temperatures around as well. Good news is this will slowly come to a close as we go through this evening and into the overnight. So yes, this is going to linger with us likely through the afternoon, even into that evening commute time. We should dry out a little bit tomorrow. That will help to bounce our temperature back a little bit more through the afternoon. And we are tracking a pretty warm day on Friday, but that's coming with a bit more of that rain, and that rain will likely stick around for us at least through the first half of the weekend, and then temperatures are going to tumble. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a bit. But this is your visibility outside right now. You'll notice some of the thickest fog really centered closer to the lakeshore, though we do have some pockets even farther inland. You'll notice Ravenna about a mile and about a quarter of visibility, Canton down to a half of a mile in spots, but you go up the road to Akron or even down towards Dover, New Philly, and you start to see that visibility increasing dramatically. This is going to be the scene, and pretty much as we go through the rest of the day today. You'll notice your visibility tracker keeping some of that thick fog closest to the lakeshore, but we will have to watch for some inland locations, especially through this afternoon, where we may see those visibilities dropping pretty drastically as we wait for the system that's bringing us some of this rain now to finally pull out of here. So by 7 o'clock, we could still be dealing with widespread fog across the area, but we'll slowly start to see that improve by the time we get into the overnight tonight. We'll walk you through when the rain ends, plus that little bit of a warm up that we'll see end of the week coming up. Late yesterday evening, and the story just has not changed. We knew this would be the case. We talked about it yesterday that we were likely going to be stuck under that fog through a good majority of today, on top of which dealing with some of that light rain, and that's exactly what's playing out for today. So temperatures won't warm up a whole lot. Most of us are going to stay mid to upper 40s, if not close to 50 degrees. Really just depends on where you're at. And know that your lakeshore communities, they are likely going to stay a little bit cooler as we go through the rest of this afternoon because of that fog and because you're working in some slightly cooler temperatures off the lake. By tomorrow, we will see a little bit of sunshine trying to peek through some of those clouds. Temperatures pretty much in the same range, though. I do think we will warm up just a little bit more than where we are today, especially for some of our lakeshore communities. And then by Friday, we are going to be tracking another round of rain, but that likely won't roll in until the second half of the day. So until then, temperatures will be able to warm up pretty fast. We're going to be aiming for the 60s for your daytime highs. But really the big story today, it's the rain, it's the fog that's continuing to move through. You look at downtown Cleveland, we are about a quarter of a mile of visibility. Same can be set up towards Lake County. Ashtabula, you're right around just a little over a mile and a half. Same with the folks out in Lorain and Elyria. Cleveland Hopkins up to 3 miles, but you'll see how drastically it changes. So if you are out and about driving today, use caution. We've got some pretty thick areas of fog. I mean, you look out towards Warren, less than a tenth of a mile of visibility in some spots. So please make sure you are using these reminders, because it's always just good to be reminded of it. Keep those lights on a low beam, increase that following distance. More importantly, decrease that speed, especially when visibility is just not the best. On top of the fog, we do have a little bit of rain starting to fall, so this is creating some puddles on some of those roadways. Some of the heaviest of the rain actually coming in right off the lakeshore, though we do have a couple heavier bouts of showers trying to move in from the south. What's happening is we had this big area of low pressure that moved through yesterday, and it brought a cold front through the area. But what that front is doing is it's actually helping to lift a lot of moisture coming in from the south over that boundary to fuel those additional opportunities for rain for us. So until that front continues to escape to the east, we are likely going to be dealing with at least several rounds of light rain through the rest of this afternoon. So you'll notice how slowly it takes this system to clear out over the next couple of hours. It will by this evening, but again, light rain. Keep the rain gear with you over the next couple of hours. We will be dealing with the fog through at least tonight. Then we start to see conditions improving for your Thursday. Temperatures going to warm up a little bit as well, too. Again, we're going to be mid to upper 40s, lower 50s. Warmest day likely going to be on Friday. This is out ahead of that rain that will move through. And then we do have some bigger changes on the way for the weekend. We'll walk you through more of those rain and, yes, potentially snow opportunities in just a little bit. today, so we're going to bring that in a little bit to the studio just so you get an idea of kind of what some of those conditions are going to be like as we go through this afternoon. And you'll notice it's not just the fog. We also have a little bit of rain mixing in with it as well. That is going to be the main story for us as we go through the rest of this afternoon. Now, good news is conditions will improve, but that may not happen until later tonight. We should see the fog slowly dissipating once we get closer to midnight or after, just depends on where you're at. But the rain should come to a close once we look ahead towards this evening. So that is some good news as more of this moisture starts to escape. We trend a lot drier for your Thursday. But then we're going to bring it right all back in again as we close out the work week. And this is setting the stage for what could potentially be a pretty soggy start to your weekend. So overall right now, visibility is likely one of the bigger talkers for you this morning. Maybe you drove through it or early this morning or even late last night. Truthfully, conditions haven't really improved much over the last 12 hours. You'll notice Burke Lakefront out towards downtown Cleveland, visibility less than half of a mile. But you go out towards Lorain, Elyria, we're talking about 1.5 miles of visibility. You go down the road to Akron, about 1/2 mile of visibility in spots. So use caution if you are going to be out and about today, because you can drive through drastically changing conditions over a relatively short area. You'll notice temperatures much cooler closer to the lakeshore. Generally where some of that fog is the thickest, we're likely going to stay into the lower 40s. Mid 40s the farther south you go. And yes, even some places like New Philly are going to be back into the 50s later today. It really just depends on how much fog you're going to be dealing with over the next couple of hours. So keep the rain gear with you. Know that conditions likely aren't going to change a whole lot as we go into this afternoon. But when this pattern starts to break, we'll walk you through that in a bit.